welcome to a new episode of Changeling. I'm not gonna record my face because, I probably won't look amused, so. Hello everyone, welcome to the second episode of Changeling. Today we're gonna do chapter 2, or whatever they refer it to. I decided against recording my facial expressions for at least until the game is over, or I end up just rage quitting or bored quitting or whatever. So yeah, having said that, let's just move on. I don't see them anywhere. They were on the counter last night. Where are they? How the heck should I know? You never let me drive, so I don't keep up with the car keys. You two are going to be late for your first day if you don't find them soon. Not my fault. Spencer was scouring the house looking for the car keys that he insisted he had left them on the counter. I was rinsing the breakfast dishes and Mom was supervising. Spencer let out an exasperated groan from near the door where he was hunting around for the keys. Where's my other shoe? Oh my god, I don't know. I don't keep up with your stuff. I finished the dishes and wiped my hands, grabbing my book bag as I headed to the front door to see if Spencer had left the keys there instead. If I'm late because of you, we won't be late if you just help me find the keys. I wouldn't have to help you find them if you just keep up with your stuff. I stalked to the front to check the little shelf by the cabinet there. No keys. I don't know why I opened the cabinet to check inside, but when I pulled the door open, I was confronted by Spencer's worn-out tennis shoe. I blinked at it in surprise. What the I snatched it out of the cabinet and stalked back to the kitchen. I can only imagine that my sleep-deprived mom had put it in there while doing the last of the unpacking. I wondered if Spencer had checked the fridge for the keys yet. At this rate, it wouldn't surprise me if that's where they were. I found your stupid shoe. Spencer looked up from where he was rummaging through the kitchen drawers for the keys. I tossed him the shoe, and as it somersaulted through the air to him, something flew out and hit the floor with a decidedly metallic sound. We both looked down in surprise. The car keys were sprawled carelessly on the kitchen floor. What were the keys doing in this shoe? Spencer immediately glared at me. Don't look at me, I didn't put them there. Where did you find this? In the cabinet by the front door. I could tell exactly what he was thinking, but I just shrugged. Sorry, it wasn't me. I don't know why your shoe was there, but I'm not in the mood to hear you blame me for it. He just scoffed off as he set the shoe down and moved his foot in it. He snatched the keys off the floor. Yeah, right. Mom hurried back into the kitchen. We found them. Someone put them in the front cabinet. I don't know. Don't ask me. Maybe Dad did it. Whatever. Someone probably just wasn't paying attention. You two need to leave. Now, you will have to stop and check in at the office before class. She practically showed us both through the door. And thus came the quiet and comfortable drive to school. What kinda... Where are you sitting? Goodness me. Yay. Spencer was driving our shared car, and I was sitting quietly in the passenger seat because fighting over who got to drive just wasn't worth it. I hated riding with him though, but had no choice on that point. I was hoping after catching up with a couple of old friends, I might be able to start bumming a ride with one of them. In the meantime though, so, looking forward to your first day? We might not get along, but I hated awkward silences almost as much as fighting. It should not have been this painful to ride in a car with my brother for 10 minutes. Yes, typical Spencer response. Curt, cryptic, utterly useless for conversation. I take that as a no. Depends on how many classes I have with you. Ugh, really? Can we not start the day like this? Then can you not talk to me? I bit my lip and stared out the window. It would have been nice if we could have, I don't know, support each other or something, like actual siblings. It was always like this. I should have been used to it by now. Trying to talk to him anymore never did any good. Over the years, I learned that the easiest way to avoid an argument with him was to just pretend it didn't exist. I stared out the window, watching the trees pass. I hated this. A few minutes later, we were pulling into the school parking lot. As soon as we found the space, Spencer jumped out and went straight inside. I grabbed my stuff and slammed the door, pausing to take a deep breath. I was not letting him running in my day. Or I'd try not to, anyway. By the time I got inside, he was already walking out the office with the schedule in hand. He didn't even look at me. I guess it was his way of letting me know I was on my own today. Not that I expected anything else. It didn't take long to get my own schedule printed. As I left the office, still looking it over, I heard a long, familiar squeal heading my way. I couldn't keep the grin off my face when I saw Allie Fisher, the one person I'd kept in touch with the last 5 years, barreling towards me. Cut or Shane! I just saw Spencer. Dang, he's pretty. I didn't think he'd get so tall. Ooh, that's the first thing you're going to say to me when we finally see each other again? Also, that's not tall. You towered over him with a good set of heels. Oh, come on. He's not my brother. I'm allowed to admire him. She grinned and grabbed my arm, pulling me away from the office and down the hall. You're gross, and your crush on him is super weird. Nope, like I said, I'm allowed. Allie, trust me when I say this, you can do better. No, I don't think so. In fact, I'm thinking later today I need to catch up with Spencer a bit. I say again, ew. She just laughed at my discomfort. I couldn't keep the smile off my face as we walked together. We'd keep in touch, but this was my first time actually seeing her in a long time. So, how's the unpacking going? I was going to call this weekend, but I figured you'd be busy. We're nearly done. Mom's been a total slave driver. It's kind of crazy. I remember how she is. I actually thought about coming over to help, but, well, then I remembered how she is. You're the worst friend. Nah, I'm a great friend, and I'm super glad you're back. This is going to be a great year. I'm glad to be back, too. Though, before anything else, I do have to warn you about... I'd heard you were back in town. That voice. I shot Allie a look, and she gave me an apologetic smile in return. So this is what she was going to warn me about? Cara, my other friend from Pine Hollow. Hope you managed to stick around for the full year. Wouldn't want you to end up getting lost again as soon as you get back in town. Well, there goes the idea that people have forgotten about that. I looked at Allie, but she just shrugged. There wasn't much to say. It was obvious Cara was still bitter, but I wasn't in the mood to fight with anyone else this morning, so I kept my mouth shut. Anyway, they're pretty strict on attendance these days. The teachers aren't too keen on people who just take off for attention whenever they want, so you might want to be careful. No one is going to believe convenient amnesia either, not this time. She walked past with a glitter in my way. I let out a long sigh. Actually, that was a yawn. Well then, what a thing to come back to. My family had moved away before we had a chance to work things out, but maybe I should have tried to mend fences with her before we got back. To be fair, I hadn't expected her to still be mad. As it was, there was just another thing to feel guilty for. At the very least, I was sorry that her relationship with Allie soured because of me as well. They clearly weren't exactly buddies anymore either. Sorry about that. I was just getting around to warning you about her. She's been cranky ever since she heard you were moving back. Allie pulled me down the hall in the opposite direction of Cara. Don't apologize. I can't believe she's mad. Normal people don't get mad about things like that. Well, you know how she thinks I was trying to mess things up for her intentionally because I was jealous, or whatever? That's ridiculous. Maybe, but she wasn't the only one. Half the town thought it was just some cry for attention, remember? Oh, whatever. Anyone who knew you at the time should have known better. That includes Cara. That's when Spencer started hating me too, so maybe they know something I don't. I gave her a tired smile. Come on, perk up. You can't look all grumpy on your first day. I know. So, what's your first class? Literature. Mrs. Roberts? Same. I was relieved. Being around someone who actually wanted me there might make my mornings suck a little less. You love her. Come on. She dragged me the rest of the way to class. I immediately scanned for certain unfriendly faces, but was relieved that neither Spencer nor Cara was anywhere to be seen. I did see some other familiar faces, though. Oh, it's Danny and Elliot. Oh, God. They were sitting at the far side of the room, surrounded by a group of friends who seemed to be taking great pleasure in prodding Elliot awake every time he nodded off. He is definitely not a morning person. Elliot's purple hair and black clothes stuck out like a sore thumb among Danny and the rest of the clean-cut, sporty guys. I got the feeling Danny was the main reason he was in that group. Unlike Elliot, who looked out of place, Danny fit in perfectly. I couldn't help but wonder how those two had become friends. They were so different. Elliot is like the emo dude. Danny I didn't really like. I made a mental note to catch up with them both later. Before I could get much further into the class, Allie grabbed my arm and started dragging me towards where a teacher was waiting at the front of the room. Come on, I'll introduce you before class starts. I'm coming, please don't rip my arm off. Allie introduced me to Mrs. Roberts, who gave me a quick rundown of what the class was studying at the moment. A Midsummer Night's Dream. I read it last year, actually, so catching up wouldn't be that difficult. We have an empty seat in front of the class and several at the back. You may take your pick. She shot me a friendly smile and made me feel quite at ease. I suspected that I'd like her. And welcome back to Stone Circle, miss. Thanks, I'm really glad to be back. Unfortunately, none of the seating options were near people I knew, which was a little disappointing. Looks like she was everyone everyone paired up for group work. The seat up at the front was next to a sort of grumpy-looking, well-dressed blonde. It didn't look extremely friendly. There were also 2 empty seats of paired desks at the back and one open seat next to a gloomy boy with messy brown hair. Didn't even look up at Mrs. Roberts explaining my choices. The only other seat was the second to last row by the window. It was tempting to be honest, but should probably take a seat that at least gives me a reading partner. Christ, this is... ugh. I felt uncomfortable at the idea of sitting next to the blonde. He didn't look especially friendly. It was kind of radiating vibe scream, don't sit here. I decided to follow my intuition on that one. Instead, I shuffled past him and headed to the back. Literature was oh my god. Literature was my favorite subject, so it shouldn't matter if I sat in the front or not anyway. I slid into the desk next to the brown-haired boy, wondering why every desk around him was empty. He looked up with surprise when I sat down. I shivered slightly as I set my backpack on the floor. That's weird. Is there a draft back here? I glanced up at the ceiling, but there was no vent overhead. It was definitely really cold though. It wasn't just my imagination because the brown-haired boy was still wearing a jacket and scarf. I'll probably have to remember to bring an extra layer tomorrow too. Just my luck. I caught the boy's eye and shot him a smile. It's kind of cold back here, huh? Gentle brown eyes gazed at me from under his long fringe. He looked away quickly, chewing his lower lip. You shouldn't have chosen that seat. He mumbled something, but he was too quiet for me to hear. I didn't get a chance to ask him to repeat it before the teacher started talking again. Today we'll be continuing our reading of A Midsummer Night's Dream with our partners. William, if you'd be so good as to share your book with Cata or Shane today. His head shot up and he stared at me with an expression that looked vaguely like horror. I smiled awkwardly. Shy, I hope? Sorry to be a bother. He looked away quickly, but it was hard not to notice how his ears went red. Definitely shy. That was a relief. Shyness I could handle. I studied this play last year, so I'm already familiar with it. I've also read it before. Oh, good, so this should be pretty easy. He chewed his lip before looking up at me seriously. Should ask if we can move up front tomorrow. Most people don't like sitting by me. Wait, is he mad that I sat here? No, I didn't think that was it. He didn't look angry, just sort of miserable. He definitely struck me as the awkward sort, but that didn't explain the other empty chairs around him. Surely people wouldn't refuse to sit by him just because he was a little shy, right? I don't think I'll mind sitting here. I lowered my voice to a whisper. The guy up front looks sort of cranky. William's lips twitched slightly, but he didn't quite smile. I don't mind if you stay, but if you ever want to move, I'll understand. It's fine, really. Don't worry about that. Anyway, where did you leave off reading? Why is he so convinced I'll want to move? Is he being bullied? That didn't seem right either. Not with Danny and Elliot and Allie in class with him. Danny and Elliot didn't seem the types to bully someone or put up with others doing it. I knew Allie wasn't. Weird. I was nearly to the start of Act 4. Oh, great. We'll just start there then. Alright. Spent the next 45 minutes taking turns reading. I was really surprised at how confident he was once we got to work. His voice was so quiet that at times I had to lean closer just to hear him, but he read without stumbling over the sometimes complex dialogue. I expected him to be more hesitant, but it seemed like it was just conversation he wasn't great at. Anyway, it was nice to have a decent reading partner considering how a lot of people made a big fuss about hating Shakespeare. I quickly found myself feeling quite pleased with my seating choice. He seemed to relax as time passed as well, even if it was a bit cold. When class was nearing its end, I looked up at the clock and stretched. We made a lot of progress today. A soft thud next to my seat caught my attention. I glanced down at the floor and saw that my pencil case, where I kept my drawing pencils, had somehow fallen out of my book bag. Ugh, thought I closed that. I leaned down to pick it up and put it back in. Is everything okay? Yeah, I just noticed something fell out of my bag. Moments later, the bell rang and the rest of class immediately packed up and vacated. William and I were both slower to gather our things. Anyway, I was trying to say that you're good at this. Thank you. I actually have a big soft spot for Shakespeare. Pretty much everyone I know think it's weird. It's not weird. I mean, I don't think it's weird anyway. I also like Shakespeare. I'm glad. It's more fun to sit by someone who also likes it. I'll see you later. Sure, see you. Our eyes met again, and he gave me the sweetest smile before heading out the door. No matter what he said, I didn't think I would regret sitting by him at all. Anyone who liked Shakespeare couldn't be that bad, at the very least. I leaned to pick up my book bag, and my pencil case was laying on the floor next to it. I just picked this up. Maybe I didn't put it all the way. Frowning slightly, I picked it up and put it securely in my book bag. Allie was over in one corner surrounded by people I didn't know, so I decided to just head to my next class and catch her later. I was pretty sure trigonometry was on the same floor as literature, but it had been several years since I was last year, and I'd never actually come to the high school wing. I I wasn't entirely sure where I was going. Why is it so crowded? I was jostled across the hall by the crowd, trying to aim for a nearby empty spot by an open door. I reached at the same time as a pale-haired girl in a blue coat. We nearly ran into each other, but she caught me by the shoulders, preventing an embarrassing collision. Careful! Wait, that voice? That's a guy. I stared up at him somewhat in awe. He was so pretty. How could a guy be that pretty? He smiled down at me. Are you okay? Didn't mean to nearly crash into you. Oh, yes, sorry. I'm okay. I quickly straightened and tried to get my bearings. I don't remember it being this. Watch it. Someone very nearly sheared my nose off with his backpack. I don't think they even heard me shout. Is it always this crowded between classes? Jeez. Hey, can I ask you where? Wish me luck. Before I could finish, the boy bounded away from the wall and, oh no, I squeezed my eyes shut as he nearly bowled over to brunettes twice his size. What the fuck is going on with this dialogue? I mean, it's not even dialogue, it's just lines. I expected him to bounce off and go sprawling, but he somehow managed to dodge and bowl over someone smaller than him instead. Sorry, I'm so sorry, are you okay? I watched him fuss over the girl for a few seconds before hurrying off down the hall, squeezing his way through the crowd. He seemed pretty popular. Everyone waved and called to him as he bounced, though. It didn't take long to learn that his name was Corvin, if only because people kept shouting it as they said hello. Oh my god, that's an unusual name. As I got ready to brave the tide of students myself, I noticed a book had fallen in the middle of the hallway, right where Corvin had run into that girl. Let me guess, trigonometry. Oh shoot, did he drop that? No one else appears to have noticed it there. I hesitated for a moment. I didn't want to just leave it, but I was really doubtful of my ability to get across the hall and pick something up off the floor without getting steamrolled by the crowd. Knew I was going to be late if I waited until the hall cleared to get it. Still, it was going to get damaged if I just left it in the middle of the floor. Should probably either return to Corvin or get it to the office. Let's go. Someone clipped the edge of the book with their foot as they walked past, sending it sliding across the tile toward the end of the lockers. Couldn't watch anymore. At this rate, it would be ruined. I shifted my backpack slightly and practically threw myself into the crowd. If Pretty Boy could do it, so could I. Probably. It wasn't quite as easy as he made it seem, probably because he was at least 6 inches taller than me. Not that I was short or anything, it was just really crowded. I jostled my way through the hurried students, nearly losing an eye to a wayward backpack at least once. When I was finally near the other side of the hall, I made a sort of dive around the corner for the book. A head of white blonde hair came into my field of view seconds too late. I wasn't able to hold my momentum before our skulls cracked against each other. Oh, I crouched on the floor, seeing stars as I clutched my head. Pretty Boy was back, and his head must have been made of titanium. Jeez, maybe I need to start wearing a helmet. Ow! Oh my god, are you okay? Are you okay? I didn't see you. Wow, he was 2 for 2 when it came to running into me at this point. If he kept this up, I was going to have to start considering the possibility that either he and I were soulmates. What the fuck? Or I'd somehow become magnetized in the last 10 minutes. I blinked rapidly, waiting for my vision to come back fully before I answered. A pair of large hands closed on my shoulders and started shaking me. Are you alright? Can you see me? Do I need to get you to the office? Please stop shaking me? Sorry, you just weren't answering, so I was worried. I rubbed my forehead and peered at the blonde boy with one eye. We stared at each other for a long time. What the hell, dude? He really had the most amazing green eyes. Shoot, I dropped my glasses. He suddenly started looking around wildly for the glasses that were right by his knee. I picked them up and handed them over. Oh shit, sorry. He shoved them onto his face and looked at me again, smiling this time. I think you dropped the book earlier. I was trying to get it so I could return it to you. Oh yeah, I just came back for it. And, when did you see me drop it? Earlier, when you ran into that girl. Right. It was kind of crowded though. You must have a good eye. Well, I was watching since we'd nearly ran into each other and you sort of Geronimo'd out in the crowd right after. Oh yeah, we nearly ran into each other over there too. I guess our meeting was meant to be. Thanks for trying to save my book. That was sweet. He shoved it into his backpack before standing and offering me his hand. I took it and pulled myself to my feet, if only because I was still a bit dizzy from that epic headbutt. Thanks. He didn't immediately let go of my hand, but instead pulled me slightly closer, peering very seriously into my eyes. What? I felt my face heating up again under his scrutiny. What's your name? I'm Cata. I tried to pull my hand away and instantly released it, smiling slightly. I reached up and gently brushed my hair away from my cheek. He chucked softly. Well, I'm glad to have met you, Cata. Before he could say much else, he was called away by another boy and darted off, leaving me staring after him. Like, we just met. Can you please don't touch me? What? Just what was that? Holding hands with someone on the first day? I'm impressed. I shook myself out of that daze and glared at Ellie. We weren't holding hands. He was helping me stand. Right. What happened to your head? Oh, that guy, I think his name's Corvin. He and I sort of ran into each other. Nice, yeah. If you're going to find a crazy way to introduce yourself to a guy, going with something classic works. Yeah, I did not bash my head into his just to meet him. Right, but he's pretty cute, yeah? Oh, I rolled his eyes. My eyes, what the hell? Whatever, can you show me where Trig is before we're both late? You still suck with directions, come on. My next two classes were fairly boring, at least when it came to academic content. When it came to social interactions, though, it was definitely a different story. First of all, Corvin was in trigonometry. He didn't seem to notice me at all, though, not that I was surprised. I had definitely been right about him being popular. He was surrounded by others before class started. The crowd around Danny in literature was nothing compared to the amount of people vying for Corvin's attention. It was a little weird, actually. On top of that, he was complete and total klutz. He dropped his pencil a dozen times, tripped over his own feet, and at one point somehow landed on another student's desk face first. At most schools, he probably would have been a laughingstock, but not so much here. In fact, other students sort of fawned over him every time he hurt himself. 3 different people offered to escort him to the nurse for an ice pack after he fell. He was kind of an airhead, but I guess he must have been really nice to have that many friends and admirers. It was probably cynical to think he might just be the way he emerged compliments. Corvin's antics aside, Spencer was in both trig and chemistry. I couldn't help but wonder how having 2 classes with me must have impacted how good a day he was having. And if watching him alternate between glaring and pretending I didn't exist wasn't bad enough, Kara was also in chemistry with us. The moment she saw me and gave me a smug little grin, I knew something was up, so I was a little apprehensive going into class. It was sad we hadn't managed to patch things up, but I was ultimately okay with her not liking me. I wasn't okay with her trying to pick fights and cause problems just for the sake of doing it though. And it didn't take long to work out what she was up to. I hadn't even gotten to my desk when 2 people who introduced themselves as Luke and Emery practically set up camp nearby to pepper me with questions about the whole childhood disappearing act. I didn't remember either of them, so I didn't think they were students who were at the school when it happened. And yet, they've definitely gotten a pretty detailed version of what had happened from somewhere. Damn it, Kara. So, do you really not remember what happened to you while you were missing? I heard you attacked by a bear or something. Someone said you were the only witness to a murder out there, but none of the other victims were ever found. Do you think you blocked it out all because of trauma? Is it true the police questioned you guys because they thought you tried to kill each other? I shot Spencer a quick look at that one. Is that how you got injured or whatever? Spencer was gritting his teeth, glaring at me. Ugh, not good. I could practically see the red, flashing light above his head declaring a level 7 nuclear event was imminent. Is there any way we can just not talk about this? Come on, we're just curious. I sighed, trying to figure out a diplomatic... Oh god, way to tell them to shut the heck up before my brother had a meltdown. It was a really long time ago, we just got back into town and we are trying to settle in. There isn't much to tell anyway, but I think I'd rather not talk about it all the same. Everyone, please take your seats. At the teacher's words, everyone reluctantly retreated, leaving Spencer and me alone. I was trying to look anywhere but at him. I honestly hadn't expected anyone to bring this stuff up again. My gaze fell on Kara, who was still giving me that same smile. Of course, if someone was intentionally trying to bring it all up again, then it was no wonder people were interested. I yawned again, trying to stir up rumors using that. Of all things, it was literally the most pointless endeavor. Fortunately, by the time class released, everyone seemed more interested in getting to the cafeteria before the lines got too long. Or maybe the average student's attention span wasn't long enough to remember that Spencer and I had an interesting backstory. Regardless, the class emptied quickly, which left me to find my way to the cafeteria alone. It didn't take me too long. The students crowding into the door were a dead giveaway. Allie was nowhere in sight, unfortunately, so I just grabbed a more or less decent-looking sandwich and found an empty spot to eat alone. Was so thrilled to be doing that on my first day. I'd barely touched my lunch when someone dropped a leather satchel on the table in front of me. I looked up and right into the blue eyes of the blonde guy from literature, the cranky one from the front of the class. The look on his face was not encouraging. It was sort of that look a person gets when they step on something really gross like chewing gum. And of course, it was directed at me. Already glad I'm not sitting by him in class. This is where I sit? Huh? For lunch. This is where I sit for lunch, so you can go elsewhere. Huh. Nope. I was definitely not going to let him talk to me like that. What a charmer. How about no? I was here first. He leaned down and placed both hands on the table, glaring at me. I swallowed nervously, my bravado evaporating instantly. Okay, Jesus. Scary. I don't care. I said you can leave. Hey, Mark. Hey, Cata. I was relieved when a familiar face showed up, slinging an arm across the blonde's shoulders as he grinned down at me. Hey, Danny. I didn't get a chance to say hi in literature. It's okay. You were surrounded, and Ellie was either going to introduce me to the teacher or pull my arm out of its socket if I didn't comply. Haha, glad you chose to comply then. Yeah, autonomy wasn't quite worth losing an arm. Mark shrugged away from Danny's arm and brushed off his sleeve, glaring at both of us in return. So you two know each other? Do you think you can kindly ask her to leave my table? Danny gave Mark a pained look, but the blonde boy didn't budge. Come on, Mark, she's new. You could at least give it a week before you start drawing lines everywhere and declaring where your territory is. I prefer eating alone. You know that. Alright, yeah, I do remember that. He gave me an apologetic smile. I was getting used to seeing this sort of smile from him. At least this time didn't involve me getting hit in the head. In any case, I was going to see if he wanted to come eat with me and Elliot and everyone else. Mark can be sort of antisocial, but he's not a bad guy. He doesn't mean any harm. Of course he didn't. He was just really kicking me out of his spot and trying to intimidate me. I stood. I didn't really get why I should have put up with people being rude to me for no reason. And I wasn't really up for a pity invite to the popular table. Thanks anyway. Think I lost my appetite. Fortunately, I hadn't unloaded anything from my backpack, so I just snatched it up and started away from the table. I wanted to ignore Danny's frown, but there was something inherently puppy dog about it that warranted some kind of response. Thanks for the offer. Really, I'm just not up for it right now. I left the cafeteria without another word and no one came after me. Not that I really expected otherwise. I decided I'd just go somewhere quiet and read for the rest of lunch. And by read, I mean sulk. The day was definitely not going how I had planned. The rest of my day was uneventful. I only had to talk about my incidents in, every single class, and it was the same battery of questions every time. Did I really lose my memory? What did I really see in the woods? Why did Spencer get questioned by the police? Did he really get attacked by an animal, or was it me? Did I see a murder? Was I abducted by aliens? I still couldn't believe someone actually asked me the last one, in a non-ironic way. I made a mental note to stay far away from that kid. I couldn't avoid talking about it every time. Some students were relentless. Eventually, I just settled into the same rote answers. Yes, I really lost my memory. No, I don't know what I saw, but I was pretty sure it wasn't a murder. The police were trying to cover all their bases, but Spencer had nothing to do with it. He really was attacked by something, but it wasn't me. And as far as I was aware, no aliens were involved. Most people opted to leave me alone when they realized they weren't going to get any juicy details out of me, so otherwise there were no major problems. At any rate, no one else decided to be blatantly rude to me. What I really wanted to was grab Allie and talk to her about what happened at lunch, but I didn't get a chance. I mean, she knew that guy better than I did. At the very least, she could tell me if it was just me or if they treated everyone that way. But we didn't have any afternoon classes together, and I hadn't seen her in the hall either. It was a little lonely, to be honest, especially since the day was such a mixed bag. I knew I would settle in. I knew the rumors would die out no matter how much Cata or anyone else tried to stir them up. There was just nothing to really talk about anyway. I knew first days were usually kind of rough, but I couldn't deny it. I'd been hoping for better. My head was pounding by the time I made my way to my locker and dumped the last of my newly assigned textbooks in it. I stood quietly for a moment, head leaning against the side as I geared myself up for the tense ride home. Hey, Cata. I turned hesitantly at the sound of my name, but sighed in relief when it was only Elliot, someone I doubted was going to pick a fight or interrogate me. I gave him a tired smile. What, you okay? You look, kind of pale. Are you feeling sick? I'm fine. You sure? You're looking kind of anemic. I'm not anemic. I'm just tired. It was a long day. Yeah, I heard, a lot of people were talking about you and your brother all day. Yeah, tell me about it. I slammed my locker room. Jesus, what the hell? I slammed my locker door and hefted my book back to my shoulder. I also saw what happened at lunch. Yeah, a About that, it's fine, it's not a big deal. I'm not mad at anyone over that. Are you sure? Yeah, like I said, it wasn't a big deal. Okay, just don't take it personally, okay? Everyone here has their stories, know what I mean? I suppose I should know that better than anyone. And don't worry about people talking about you. I mean, they'll stop. Soon. Probably. Encouraging. Well, I couldn't complain. He was trying to cheer me up, and that was sweet. I'm sure they will.
Self-voicing enabled. I rubbed my head. Self-voicing disabled.
That scared the fuck out of me. What the hell? I rubbed my head and gave him another exhausted smile. I should go. The evil twin is probably already waiting impatiently for me. Okay, I have a club meeting I need to get to. I really hope you feel better. Have fun at your club. He's being nice. Maybe we should try to enter a club too. It's not really the sort of club we have fun at usually, but I'll try. He waved and darted off down the hall toward the stairwell. What sort of club isn't meant for fun? I wondered if the office had a list of clubs I could register for. Of course, I'd have to coordinate with Spencer or get a ride from someone, so I might want to wait until I was a little more settled in. But it might be nice to get involved in something during my last year. At any rate, I made my way outside, keeping an eye out for Spencer as I went. I wasn't looking forward to drive home at all, but this time I'll just stay quiet. I don't think I can handle another argument today. My nerves are already pretty frayed. I jogged across the front lawn toward the parking lot in spite of my head. If anything, Spencer complaining that I'd made him wait would just make my headache worse anyway. I immediately spotted the car, and it looked like Spencer was already waiting. I picked up the pace when I got home. Oh, Jesus. I picked up the pace. When I got home, I was just going to go upstairs and immediately crash. And sleep. Wait, what is he doing? I was still at least 20 yards from him, so why was Spencer already backing out of the parking space? Does he not see me? I waved one arm as I ran, wondering if he thought I was getting a ride with Ellie or something. I froze mid-wave as he pulled out of the space, looked right at me, and drove off. Are you kidding me? I very nearly threw my backpack on the ground and had the tantrum right there in full view of everyone. Yanking my phone out, I sent him a flurry of angry texts. What are you doing? You look right at me. Hello? Are you coming back to get me? Stop ignoring me. 10 minutes later, there was still no answer. I tried calling twice, but it didn't pick up. Tears of frustration stung my eyes as I clutched my backpack so hard the strap cut into my hand. How is that even possible? He wasn't coming back. He just left me there while looking right at me. How could he do that? The parking lot was rapidly emptying, but I was not going to stand there and cry in front of everyone. Trembling with fury, I stormed away to find a place to calm down, think, and plot how I was going to murder my brother in his sleep. After I figured out how I was going to get home, I could text Mom, but she and Dad were both at work. Grandma and Grandpa would be busy too. I flopped down under a tree near the back corner of the parking lot. Ellie said she had a club meeting, so I didn't think she could give me a ride unless I waited for her to finish. I didn't know anyone else well enough to ask. I bit my lower lip hard and looked up quickly, trying to blink away the tears before they spilled over. There was no one nearby, and unless someone walked right past me, I didn't think I'd be easily seen. I finally gave in and buried my face in my knees, sobbing quietly, half from anger and half from sheer disappointment. The whole day had just kind of sucked, and I felt stupid for being so glad to be back. Are you crying? Shoot, I looked up, hastily wiping at my face as I wondered who was crashing my little pity party. A super tall guy in a leather jacket was standing nearby looking down at me. I hadn't even heard him walk up. I'm fine. I rubbed the back of my hand across my eyes, feeling pathetic. There was no way he'd believe I wasn't crying. Really? I nodded vigorously, but from his tone, it was obvious he knew it wasn't true. He scoffed. Whatever. He turned away and walked to a motorcycle parked nearby. Ugh, can't believe someone caught me crying. How middle school of me. I watched him set the helmet on the seat and show his backpack. I probably shouldn't have stared, but he was kind of rude, so I was going to stare all I wanted. If I was going to revert back to middle school with my behavior, I might as well take it all the way. This girl is a red flag. He paused and glanced my way again. I watched him grab something and stalk back over. He tossed something square and rectangular to me. Is it a chocolate? I barely managed to catch it. Oh, never mind. Tissues. Thanks. Okay, maybe he's actually a nice guy? He shrugged. Is there a reason you're sitting back here crying? Yes, there is. I glared up at him, daring him to try to pry it further. He just looked sort of amused, but not at all intimidated. I guess I couldn't blame him. How tall was he anyway? I was going to strain my neck looking up at him. Thanks for the tissues. I mean, not for badgering me about crying. I wasn't badgering, I was asking, but it's not a problem. I'm Ewan, by the way. That was an interesting name. Ewan. Cata or Shane just nodded and crouched next to me. I don't recognize you. I'm new, sort of. I used to live here a few years ago, but I just moved back. Ah, you're that girl. I gave him a questioning look, but he just shrugged. I overheard some kids talking about a new girl, something about some disappearances a few years back. Again, that's me. I see. Well, you look more normal than I expected. What's that supposed to mean? Hey, I was just about to leave. Are you waiting for a ride? Do you need a lift or something? I don't, my brother ditched me, so I don't know yet. I'm still trying to figure out how to get home. I'll give you a ride if you don't mind riding a motorcycle. I haven't ridden one before. I'm not going to force you. I bit my lip. I shouldn't accept a ride from someone I didn't know, but at the same time, I didn't know if anyone else could come get me. Look, it's a game, right? It's a fucking game. Don't do this, people! Don't do this! Yeah, you know what? I'll take you up on that. I'll live out in Raven's Glade. He almost smiled, but not quite. I live there too. He stood and helped pull me up to my feet. Dang, it was really tall. The top of my head barely reached his shin, and that was with heels. I have an extra helmet you can use. Oh, thanks. Mom would definitely kill me if I showed up on the back of a motorcycle with no helmet. Then she'd probably kill you too. She hates making people feel left out. That elicited a smirk. I'll keep it in mind. I watched him pull down 2 pegs on either side of the bike. I'm guessing my feet go there? His smirk grew wider as he tossed the helmet. You got an A+. That bait gets really hot, so don't touch it. Anything else? Hold on, lean when I lean, and try to not fall off. Simple and to the point. I like it. He climbed on the bike and patted the seat behind him as he put the helmet on. I climbed on carefully, mostly occupied with how I should hold onto him. That and wondering why his helmet got a cool visor thing, but my face was bare for all the bugs in the world to splat onto. I hope he didn't mind being my bug shield because I was definitely going to hide my face behind him. Hold on, we're going. Right. I placed my hands awkwardly on his hips as he started the bike and we were off. It was cold. It was already willing to fall anyway, but it was so much colder on the back of a motorcycle. Fortunately, our neighborhood was fairly close to the school. I quickly found myself grateful he was so much bigger than me. In addition to shielding me from bugs, he also blocked some of the wind. Not much, but I suspected he was colder sitting up front than behind. I just held onto him tightly and hoped the wind didn't permanently freeze my hands to his waist. That would have been awkward. 15 minutes and a short stop for specific directions later, and Ewan was pulling into my driveway. Spencer's car was there, but so was Dad's. By the time Ewan killed the engine, Dad was already on the front porch, eyes wide. I dismounted carefully, only narrowly, avoiding falling on my butt. Nice dismount. I'd give it an 8.5 for style. I'm not going to tell you to shut up, but only because you were nice enough to give me a ride. Dad swept me into a bear hug that muffled the rest of that. Thank God, you weren't answering your phone. Well, I couldn't, really. Oh, this is Ewan, a classmate. He gave me a ride. Dad offered his hand, though he didn't look too happy about the motorcycle. Ewan took his helmet off, shook Dad's hand, and gave him a surprisingly polite nod. It's nice to meet you, sir. He had that bad boy look about him, but I guess he wasn't actually that bad. It was kind of disappointing. Someone wearing that much leather really should have more attitude. Whew, the red flags. Thank you for giving her a ride. I handed the helmet back to Ewan. Seriously, I really appreciate it. I'll treat you to a coffee or something sometime. Don't worry about it. Guess I'll see you at school. He nodded and put his helmet back on, waving once as he started the bike. And with that, he was gone. Dad and I watched him in silence for a moment. You are so not treating him to a coffee. Ever. Hey, he was nice enough to give me a ride. Huh. Saying of which, please tell me why my horrible brother is grounded. For a month, at least. Come on, you look like you're freezing. I'll make you some hot chocolate. I snuggled into his side as we went in together. All in all, it wasn't a completely horrible ending to the day. Woo! Alright. Final chapter was over. I don't know if, like, this game makes chasing a love interest mandatory, but out of all the characters I met so far, Ewan is my first choice, and then it's Elliot, and the rest I'm not interested at all. And there's a dude, I forget his name, he's from the Shakespeare class. I'll be more than happy to be friends with that kid, but nothing more than that. Anyways, guys, as I said before, I'm gonna keep it one episode per chapter. So thank you so much for watching. I really appreciate it. I hope this somehow is entertaining. And I'll see you soon.